Hello Learning Tree Art class. Today begins our first video lesson. I know it's not quite the same as being in class together. I miss you all, but I hope that you'll still find these lessons fun and take it even further with your own creativity and just keep going. So let's get started. Our first a lesson here, what we're going to do is a Celtic knot, and there may have been a couple of you that have done this lesson with me before when you were in art history with me. That's okay. You're a little older now, so you might be able to get a little more creative with it. Maybe you don't remember it, so this will be just a nice refresher for you. A really fun lesson. It's that you can just kind of take it even further. So I'm going to show you a basic Solomon's knot, and then we're going to go from there, and I'll show you a couple of more. But let's get started. I'm going to show you what supplies you're going to need. So you just need some plain paper, just plain printer paper. Obviously you're going to need a pencil. I'm going to tell you to get a ruler, unless you have graph paper. If you have graph paper, you can use that. Now, I have this tiny graph paper, and you can use this, but it will turn out nice and tiny, and it's a little more tedious, a little bit harder to work with. So I recommend that if you don't have a large 1x1 graph paper, let's just make some, and it'll be a lot easier for you to learn. And then maybe if you want to attempt to try it with a smaller graph paper, you can do that as well. If you happen to be in the drawing club, then you might already have some drawing pencils that have a little bit softer graphite in them than a regular pencil does, and a blending stick. If you do not have these, that's no big deal. You can always use your regular pencil, and your finger works just as well for blending. Obviously we need an eraser because we all make mistakes, and that's okay. So let me get started and show you. Now I happen to have a ruler that is perfectly a 1 inch in width. It is also a, what do you call these? I'm losing track of what it is. Anyhow, so let's start making your grid. Just start at one end. Since it's an exact 1 inch width, I just took it, I drew. Then all you have to do is move it over. One more, draw the same length, or the same width, I'm sorry, of your ruler all the way across your paper, and then once again do it this way as well. So you're going to get that 1x1 square grid line. And let's begin with our first basic knot. So after you have your grid line, I'm actually going to start just over here in this little corner because I want to give myself room to show you a couple more. And I'm going to show you just that basic knot. I want you to take an outline for those squares. They don't have to be, doesn't have to be a perfect outline. Just give me that 4 squares so you can get the idea. Now we're going to take these 4 squares, and everywhere that you have an intersection from your grid, I want you to draw a small circle. Once again, these circles do not have to be perfect. They are just guidelines for us to use. Alright, now that we have all of those circles done, I want you to eyeball the center. Now once again, this doesn't have to be perfect, and ideally you would have a grid line in the center as well, but without having to get too much detail. And to make it even smaller, let's just eyeball the center. It makes it easier. Small circles. Try to keep your circles similar in size so you don't have one huge and one tiny, but it's okay. Alright. In the very center circle, I want you to draw a line that goes to the next circle. Always keep in mind, I'm using the wrong pencil, always on the inside. So you're going to draw 2 parallel lines, always on the insides of these circles. Every time you draw a line, it will be on the inside. You're drawing 2 lines. So think of it as a roadway or a ribbon, because we're going to be interlocking these. So basically any Celtic knot has no beginning, no end, and all of the woven cords are interlocked. Now, from this intersection here, or this woven, this one roadway or ribbon, whatever you want to take it, let's do another one on the opposite side, and we're going to go the opposite direction or perpendicular, and we're going to do the same thing always on the inside of our circles. Each time we're going to go the opposite direction and the opposite direction. Okay, from here we're going to do our corners, and this is the little bit tricky part, but I'm going to walk you through it really slow. Let's start with this circle right here. I want you to pretend that this right here is a ribbon, and it's going to wrap all the way around, and it's going to enter or go underneath this ribbon to connect here. So we're going to go up, we're going to make a nice round corner, always on the inside of our circles. And do you see how that connects, going underneath this one and connects to this one? Now on this inside line right here, we're just going to take it and loop around that circle. When we loop around that circle, it is doing the same thing. It's going underneath this one and connecting right here. So now it almost looks like a roadway that goes underneath a bridge and comes back out. We're going to do the same thing on this corner. A nice curve around, always on the inside of your circles. On this little circle inside here, or this line, wrap around. Now do you see how, same thing, this looks like a roadway that's gone around, and underneath this connects to here. Continue along on the inside of your circles. Connect, and don't forget to connect the inside as well. Are you getting the picture? Are you understanding? Once again, inside and around. Connect the little ones too. And there is your first basic Solomon's knot. Okay? When we are done, what we're going to do is erase all these little circles, and you can erase those inside grid lines if you have those as well. Erase those. Now just to start off, I fill in my circles. There's a couple of ways you can do it. You can fill it in like this, or you can do some shading like this, which really gives it the appearance of a basket. I personally like it shaded the best, but just to start off so you get the idea, let's just fill it in. It gives you the same effect, just not quite as dimensional. But there's your basic Solomon's knot. From there, we can move on to a sailor's knot, which really, a Solomon's knot and a sailor's knot is pretty much the same. This time, let's do 4 by 2. Same thing. Circles on all of your intersections. Small circles. And in the center. All right. Pick the center one. It just works the best. And start out the same way. Always on the inside, and then the opposite. Inside, staying on the inside of your circles. Save your corners, don't do anything there. Almost done. Once you get the hang of it, you can go a little faster. All right, and this is where we need to do our edges. So just like before, let's start with this middle one right here. We're going to come around the inside of the circles to interconnect with this one underneath. The inside loops around. Now over here on the edges, it's going to be the same, it's just not quite a corner. Inside, connecting to this one. And don't forget your inside corner. So this one is a slighter curve instead of a whole corner. To the inside and wrap around. Don't forget the insides. Go all the way around and do the same thing. Now, there is another way that you can do your corners to make them look a little different. Did you notice with this one I did? My corners actually come out to a point. And that's just an extra style that you can do. And all you have to do here is erase your circle and bring it to your corner. That's just an option if you choose to do it that way. Some say that the sailor's knot is two intertwined ropes that may have been created by the sailors during long voyages, as a means of remembering loved ones. And even though it's a simple knot, it's known to be one of the strongest. I thought that was kind of interesting. And while there is no true historical evidence of the meaning of any of these Celtic knots, most modern people like to think that they represent different things. The triangular knot you may have seen, it's kind of one of the most popular Celtic knots, and I believe I have a small picture, I thought I did, of one, and I cannot find it right now. Okay. So one of the most popular Celtic knots would be this triangular one. And while this is not a perfect example, but there we go. Some say that it represents the Trinity, so the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Others believe it represents earth, fire, and water. Once again, there's no historical evidence, but that's what a lot believe. All right, the next knot that I would like to show you would be the love knot. Now, the love knot has hearts in it. And actually, this is just a variation. I'm going to show you. This is the basic love knot, which is two interlocking hearts that represent the love between two people. All right, this one is fairly simple to do as well, once you get the hang of it. we're going to have a 3x2 grid. Actually, let me see if I have room on here. Let's just do it on this paper. I think we have enough room. So 1, 2, 3 by 2, similar to our sailor's knot that we did. All right. Once again, circles in all of our intersections there, and one in the center of each of our squares. Oops, that one's down a little too far. That's why we have erasers, right? All right, same thing, here we go. I like to start towards the center, staying on the inside of those circles. Keep going perpendicular to what you've already done. Do you see how they're all based off of this same 4 squared knot, this Solomon's knot? Okay, this is where we're going to begin our heart. Okay, so once again, the corners are just rounded, always on the inside. All right, skip the middle for just a moment and just do the corners. Oops, I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, do you have the corners? Do you kind of see the hearts here? Well, we're also going to make a heart the other way. So now, instead of curving this like we did down here, we're actually going to just go straight up and make that into a point. We're going to do that with this one as well. Okay, now can you really see the heart shape? But if you noticed, remember these are 2 interlocking ribbons, no beginning, no end. So if you were to take your pencil and kind of follow the path, do you see? It has no beginning and no end. And from here, I forgot to connect those. Fill that in. It makes it easier to see. Once you have this basic concept down, then you can add different ways of making these knots. Right? Before I show you some other ones that you can do, I want to show you how to shade. Let's just go back to our sailor's knot. Once you've erased your circles, you might want to try to erase those center circles because you can see those sometimes. And it looks better to get them erased. It's hard with a big eraser if you need a smaller one. You can always go back. I like to go back and darken my lines to make them stand out, be a little bit more prominent. Clean up any of your extra pencil marks that you don't want. Try to keep it nice and clean. This is where you can erase your inside grid lines. I'm going to switch to the white eraser. Works better than my pencil eraser. I'm going to try and get rid of all those grid lines. Okay? Alright, this is where I'm going to switch to my softer drawing pencil, and if you don't have one, like I said, a regular pencil will work just fine. To get the shading effect that I like to use personally, this is how I'm going to do it. So anytime you see a ribbon that's going under the bridge, this is how I like to refer to it. I'm going to darken this line a little bit because I think I accidentally erased it. I'm just going to go and darken this, draw a little out, getting lighter the further I go. Now, you can use your finger or a blending stick. And bring that out, getting lighter as you go. On each end, wherever it goes under your bridge, is where you're going to color out, fade. Once again, using your finger or your blending stick, and blend it out until it gets lighter. Once again, anywhere that's going underneath is where you want to shade. Getting lighter, then blending. This is how you get that shaded effect. Now, do you see how it's highlighted over there? Now, if you were to think of a ribbon or a basket, it's kind of bumped up over top of that ribbon that's underneath, and that's where your highlight is going to be. It's where your light is going, and underneath is shadowed because of the ribbon that is underneath. Keep doing this all the way around. Retrace those lines just to make them a little more prominent if they're not quite prominent enough for you. Shading, getting lighter as you go out. Using your finger or a blending stick. Lighter as you get out. And do this all the way around. Alright, you get the idea. And I want to show you a couple other ones that I've done and how you can start adding to this and making your own. Once again, here is a version of the love knot that we did. Now in order to do this, okay, let me go back to this one. Okay, another version of the love knot that we just did, we did a 3x2. So on this one instead, I did a 4x4 without these corners. Or you could say I did a 3x2 and another 4x2. Just wanted to make sure I counted that correctly. I'm sorry, that was a 4x2. 4x2 and 4x2. And actually, I can show you kind of how I did that. So if we wanted to make that one, you could do 2, go down, out 1 more, down 2, in, down again. See how we're almost getting this plus shape here? And you would do that same thing with your circles. Okay? That's going to give you this shape. If you were to want to make the hearts, where you can see the bottom of the heart here, instead of making these loops or these ribbons right here, you would actually just cut it off. So you would bring this one all the way over like that. And this one would stop here. Do you kind of see what I mean? It's a little tricky, but once you start to work at it, you'll understand. And I'll show you real quickly on this one. I'm not going to do them all, just so I can show you how to do the heart. All right, making my corners, going around. I would erase. I'm going to move this down to make sure that you can see that well. Erase those corners. Okay, now this is the part where it would get confusing. And I'm going to just go ahead and finish down here just a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about, because you will probably have most of this completed like this. But what we want to do here is actually close off this heart. So what you're going to do is you're going to just bring this down and this, and you're going to erase this section right here. Do you see how that makes a complete heart? All right, and you would do the same thing if you were doing it over here as well. I guess I'll complete one more side for you so it'd be easier to see. So here's your heart. I'm going to erase these just so it's a little easier to see. You would close off right here with this one coming down. You're going to close off that heart. Erase this section right here. All right? Coming around. And this one would just stay a square. So I'm going to fill that in just to give you an idea. Do you see the hearts now? Okay, and in here you would erase. Make sure you would erase your circles. All right? Okay. And once again, that is how you will end up with this. Now let me show you a few others that I've done. Okay. It's that same basic knot. And all I've done is step out. Here's 2 squares, and I've stepped out a square, stepped out a square, went down 2 squares, stepped in, and made that one, which I thought was really nice. You could also, on this one, turn this into a heart right here and have 4 hearts. That would be fun. Another one would be this one. Same thing, it's your basic 1, 2, 3, 4 by 1, 2, 3 with a single one step out. Let me show you real quickly how that could be done so you can see how you have this long loop. Okay, here is your step out. I'm not going to do this center. Once again, I'm not going to fill them all in. I just want to show you how to do that step out loop. Don't forget your center circles. All right, real quickly, if I were to connect, this would be connected here. All right. This would be coming over here. All right, this is your step out. Oops. I am so sorry. I messed up right there, didn't I? See, it always happens. That's what I get for not making a full piece, because I was just wanting to try to show you how that worked. All right, so here's your step out. This time, when you're going to your center, you will bring this all the way around and loop. Okay? Uh-oh, I have messed up here and I apologize. So let's completely disregard that. And we will try to work on another one. I apologize, I should have just started from the and done the whole thing. All right. That's what erasers are for, right? Never fear. Even the teacher makes mistakes. All right, let me get back. I'm gonna run into this one and it's okay. I want to just focus on this loop right here.